Welcome to a world of mystery and wonder. Have you ever wondered, is death really the end, or just a door to a mysterious reality we don't fully understand? On this channel, I'll take you on a journey through strange near-death experiences, where people who have been on the brink of life and death return to share the things science can't explain. Get ready for mind-blowing experiences, mysterious lights, strange encounters, and supernatural phenomena you've never heard of before. Each video is an adventure that explores a world where the laws of nature are broken, and one thing is certain, you won't be able to look away. If you love thrilling stories and want to dive deeper into death and the miraculous mysteries beyond our understanding, don't miss a single video. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an exciting journey. Are you ready to explore? My name is Nathaniel Graves, 46 years old, a simple beekeeper living in a small house on the outskirts of the city, where peaceful mornings pass by with the sound of the wind and buzzing bees. My life seems simple, yet it was always filled with profound moments, truths I thought I understood. However, on February 29, 2024, a special day when time seemed to stop, I entered a world I had only heard of in mysterious stories. That day, I not only saw death, but also touched the profound secrets of the universe, things that could not be explained by science or logic. A near-death experience that forced me to confront life and death and changed the way I perceive everything. Let me take you back to that moment when everything around me vanished, and I found myself in another world, a world not everyone gets to witness. Everything started like a normal day. I woke up early, enjoying a simple breakfast with bread and honey from the very hives I take care of. I put on my protective suit and, as usual, went outside to check on the hives. This task felt like a sacred ritual to me. Each time I touched the hive lid, I felt an invisible connection with nature, with the universe. But today, the surroundings felt different. As I approached a hive, I heard an unusual buzzing sound. The bees weren't their usual busy selves, but seemed anxious, as if they were trying to signal something. When I bent down to check, I saw a giant wasp invading the hive. This species of wasp is a powerful creature in the bee world, and its presence in the hive was no accident. I reached out to shoo it away, but the wasp turned back and stung me unexpectedly. The pain hit immediately, like electricity coursing through my body. I thought I'd be fine, just rest and apply some medicine, but my body couldn't take it. Anaphylactic shock suddenly occurred, and before I understood what was happening, I collapsed. As I fell into a coma, the first sensation was a separation from my body, like an invisible cord was severed, pulling me out of the material world. But instead of falling into darkness, I felt a strange movement, as if I were rising, floating through an invisible space, surpassing all the limits I once knew. I looked down and saw my lifeless body on the ground, and Evelyn, my wife, frantically calling for an ambulance, but all sounds started to fade, as if I was drifting away from everything. When I lifted my head, the surroundings began to change. A deep, hazy tunnel appeared before me, pulling me inside. Darkness enveloped everything, but it wasn't an emptiness. This darkness had a mysterious vitality, an invisible energy, as if it were watching me, waiting for me to step forward. Suddenly, I felt a presence of formless entity, invisible yet completely clear in my mind. It wasn't near, but I could sense its existence, as if it were watching every step I took. Then, from the depths of the darkness, a faint light began to emerge, slowly shining toward me. I slowly opened my eyes, but it wasn't the familiar garden I knew. Before me was an endless space, where darkness covered every corner. No sounds, no familiar images. Only a terrifying silence, making it impossible to tell where I was. Where am I? I wondered, but my question only echoed in the cold space, receiving no answer. Suddenly, from afar, a faint light began to flicker. At first, it was just a small dot, almost invisible. But then, as if an invisible force were calling, the light slowly grew larger, stronger, brighter. It not only illuminated the space around me, but also radiated a strange energy, like a gentle yet vibrant flame. Its warmth was strange, making me feel as though I was being pulled toward it. Strangely, I didn't need to move. I felt like I was no longer myself. My body seemed weightless, as though an invisible force was pulling me toward the light. There was no walking, no running, just a gentle movement, without pain, without fatigue. I wondered, was I walking, or was I just a soul drifting in this space? "Is anyone there?" I called out, but my question was like a faint echo, barely heard before it disappeared into the stillness. No one answered. At that moment, fear gave way to a strange curiosity. The light, though far away, made me feel peaceful, as if I had found something I had lost long ago. The closer I got, the more the sensation of my body faded. The aches I had felt earlier, from my arms to my entire body, had now disappeared. Instead, there was a lightness, as if I had no gravity, no bindings. I couldn't feel my skin, couldn't sense my breath, but I felt like I existed in a more subtle way than ever before. The path I was on began to open up, no longer the pitch-black darkness, but a glowing tunnel with walls emitting a soft light, like distant stars watching over me. Everything around me seemed to be tinted with a magical hue, as if all things were living in a separate universe where time didn't exist and space had no limits. That silence was no longer frightening. On the contrary, in that absolute stillness, I sensed something sacred, a presence I couldn't see but knew was here. It wasn't something outside of me, but a part of me, a part of this world, or perhaps a part of the entire universe. And then I reached the end of the tunnel. The light, once a distant point, had now become a brilliant beam, so bright I could not open my eyes to look directly at it. Everything around me seemed to dissolve, and only that light remained, a miraculous light that I couldn't put into words. I felt like I had entered a completely different world, a place that didn't belong to reality, where I was no longer myself but just a part of something much greater. Perhaps I no longer belonged to the world I once knew. And maybe I had entered a new journey, the journey of light, of rebirth, of mysteries I had never imagined. As the light softened, the scene before me was so astonishing I couldn't speak. It was a vast garden, so beautiful I couldn't believe I was actually seeing it. Endless fields of multicolored flowers stretched out, each blossom seeming to be painted with gentle brushstrokes, each petal emanating a soft glow, creating a dreamlike beauty, as if in a beautiful dream. Clear streams flowed gently, like delicate melodies echoing through the stillness. The sky, high, wide, and crystal clear, with not a cloud in sight, seemed like a painting of eternity, never fading. Where am I? I wondered, the feeling of confusion still not leaving me. But this time, the question was not alone. It wasn't just echoing in my mind. It was answered by a gentle voice, soft like a breeze. "Welcome to the place of peace." The voice didn't come from anyone, yet it seemed to echo from every corner of the space around me. It was filled with love, as if a mother was holding her child, bringing me a warm and unusual sense of peace. I stood still, unable to pinpoint the source of the voice, yet I could clearly feel its presence, as if it was part of this very space. Somehow, my feet began to move on their own, with no resistance or worry. I followed a path of white stones, their surfaces shimmering under the gentle light, leading me deeper into the garden. The further I went, the more I felt tranquility, as if each step carried me farther from the chaotic, anxious world and into a space where time left no trace and life's burdens were gone. Everything here shone. The trees, with their lush green leaves, were not just ordinary trees. They were like living beings, emitting a soft, warm light, never blinding but enough for me to feel the vibrant life in every cell. The stream babbled softly, like whispers, as if it too could communicate, conveying a message I couldn't fully understand. Even the air here felt different. It wasn't just cool and fresh, but heavy with light, as if every breath carried life, a mystical life I had never felt before. Each time I inhaled, my body felt filled with new energy, a refreshing, almost unbelievable lightness. At that moment, I felt like I was no longer myself. I was not a small, worried human, but a part of this place, a part of eternity and peace. This is paradise, I thought, but not the kind of paradise I had imagined. This wasn't a distant place, not a world found only in fairy tales or beautiful dreams. This was another reality, a place where time seemed not to exist, a space without boundaries, where everything, all things, harmonized and was filled with light. And in that moment, my heart felt a closeness to God that I could not describe. Not through prayers, not through doctrines or rituals, but through a deep, direct feeling, as if I had returned home, returned to something greater than this life. This place is not just a peaceful garden, but a door opening to a new world, a different world, where I am no longer a person burdened with worries, but a soul merging into absolute tranquility. I continued walking along the strange path, where gentle beams of light enveloped my body like a thin mist, yet filled with strength and warmth. My mind seemed to float in an invisible space, detached from the physical world. Faint images gradually appeared before me, forming a hazy figure that became clearer with each step I took toward it. The figure was of a tall woman with long white hair, glowing skin, and eyes that shone as if containing the entire universe. The light not only surrounded her, but seemed to emanate from her, radiating countless soft but powerful beams. I stood still, speechless. Her eyes were not those of a mortal. It was as if she could see into every corner of my soul. "Who am I?" I exclaimed, but the sound of my own voice seemed to shatter and fade into the misty space. There was no direct answer, only a soft smile from the woman, followed by her extending her hand in a gesture inviting me closer. "I have been waiting for you," the voice echoed in my mind, not from her mouth, but as if it came from the very space around me, resonating from an invisible place. "Why me?" I asked again, feeling lost and confused. "You have gone far astray." "I have come to guide you back," she replied, her voice gentle yet full of authority. Before I could ask another question, the space suddenly changed. The flower fields and beams of light disappeared, replaced by an incredibly deep darkness, cold and filled with a terrifying stillness. The figure of the woman vanished as well, leaving me alone in the emptiness, feeling as though I was falling into an endless abyss. I felt myself falling into a barren land where light could not penetrate, leaving only thick darkness and suffocating heat. The smell of burning filled the air, making it hard to breathe. The sounds of screams and cries echoed from the darkness, weaving together into a hopeless, sorrowful melody that seemed to never end. Suddenly, horrific images began to appear before me. Souls eternally bound in chains, bodies burned by fire but unable to die, screaming in agony. Each face bore suffering, regret, and ultimate fear. I could not help but feel the desperation, almost impossible to describe. Each time I looked into the eyes of those souls, I saw my own reflection full of guilt, full of regret. Amid the chaotic turmoil of these souls, one image suddenly stood out, drawing my gaze. It was a woman, dignified yet trapped in fierce flames. Her face was scarred, marked by the fiery blaze, her eyes filled with pain, yet there was something profound within them: regret, but also understanding. I recognized her instantly, though I had never met her in life. It was the prophetess Vanga. "Why do I see her here?" I muttered in confusion. I received no answer, only darkness surrounding me like a heavy cloud. That scene could not be erased from my mind. There was something vague, an unclear message, but it felt like I had grasped some deep understanding. A voice echoed from the darkness, cold and full of authority. "You see what your heart needs to know. This is the place for those who deny the truth, who reject the light of God." The scenery around me slowly faded, blending into the dim void, and I felt myself being pulled again. I was back on the same path, but this time the path led not only to light, but also split into a crossroads. Before me were two roads, one radiating a soft golden light like dawn, the other dark as an endless abyss. The voice echoed again, this time strong and full of authority. "You have seen heaven. You have seen hell. Now I ask you, which path will you choose?" I stood frozen, unsure of how to respond. My mind was in turmoil, and everything within me seemed to be spinning. I don't know. I don't deserve heaven, but I can't accept falling into that hell. The voice spoke again, gentle but full of understanding. "Humans are not perfect, but faith can guide them. Remember this, my child, the love of God is always greater than any mistake." A powerful beam of light from the bright road shone upon me, and I felt an extraordinary peace, as if I were being healed. "Live and spread the light you have seen." The final voice echoed, and then everything turned pitch black. I woke up in the hospital room. The heartbeat monitor was steady, and the dim light from the hospital lamp shone on Clara's face, who was holding my hand tightly, her eyes filled with tears. When I opened my eyes, the light in her eyes instantly brightened, as if she had found a glimmer of hope. "You're awake!" Clara exclaimed, embracing me with overwhelming joy. I couldn't say anything, just looking around, feeling as though I had just returned from another realm. What I had experienced, what I had seen, was still vivid in my mind: the brilliant light of heaven, the terrifying darkness of hell, and the final words I had heard. In the days that followed, I couldn't stop thinking about what I had been through. I shared my story with Clara, and together we knelt to pray, thanking God for giving me a second chance. From then on, I decided to change my life. I began participating in charity work, helping the less fortunate in the town, and I also made it my mission to share my story with others, as a reminder of love and compassion. I don't know what the future holds, but I believe I've been given a new purpose in life. No matter what challenges arise, I will always remember the image of heaven and hell, and the path that led me to faith. Live and spread the light you have seen. The mysterious journey through the line of life is the near-death experience I was fortunate enough to survive and share with you. From the divine rays of light to the deep, dark abysses, every life and death moment of that journey made me reevaluate everything I once believed. If this story touches your heart, don't hesitate to click the subscribe button now. Because this journey, this voyage between life and death, is just beginning. Join me as we explore more of the miraculous mysteries of this world. Things science cannot explain, experiences that go beyond all limits. All will be revealed on this channel. Become a part of this journey and help me uncover the untold truth. Thank you for watching, and don't forget, the miraculous stories are waiting for you ahead. Thank you for joining me on this miraculous journey. I hope the near-death stories we've explored together will open up new perspectives on life, death, and the mysteries that we have yet to explain. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next videos, where you'll step into a mysterious world where science and the supernatural intersect. Let's continue to explore and experience things that few dare to believe. Thank you for being with me, and I'll see you in the next video.